Welcome everyone. Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us on St. Patty's Day for our Checkpoint Simplify Better Together webinar. We're going to talk today about SOAR, and we have a pretty full agenda. So again, thanks for your time today. For those of you I haven't met yet, this is really targeted at our partnerships throughout the Mid-Atlantic and federal areas. So wanted to welcome you, and thanks again for working closely with your channel manager to drive the business together. What I'm going to do is bring up first our executive welcome with Frank Roush, who will talk to our partnership and the opportunity for our partners with this SOAR opportunity in providing complete security solution. And then we'll go into some of the more details of the overview on Siemplify, use cases, our success story that we've used in terms of relating to you how this works in partnership, and then talk about some of the opportunities you might have in services wrapping around this overall solution. So Frank, with that, welcome.
Hey, thank you very much, Ted. And it is really great to be here with all of you, and certainly Siemplify. And love the creativities and the backgrounds. The beer is not real. Probably won't be real for another 2.5 hours, but I'm sure you were all wondering. So why are we here today? It's really to be able to not give you a product pitch. It's to be able to talk to the partners, which you really are, about the opportunity and the partnership with Siemplify. And more importantly, how to make money in the environment. It's not a product seminar. It's more about what's in it for you. And the great news is it's a hot market. It really is. SOAR is topical for a whole bunch of different reasons, many reasons that have been publicized over the last couple of weeks and maybe the last couple of months, maybe the last year. So with it being a hot topic, you have to believe that everybody is calling into your customer base to be able to talk about it. So the question is, do you want to shut that door, or do you want to give business to Fortinet, Palo Alto, or anybody else and risk channel conflict? Because when you look at Siemplify, when you look at Checkpoint, we are absolutely committed together to the channel. And it's not like we're asking you to be able to do something that really doesn't make sense. When I had the opportunity to talk to Tom and some other people and Dennis regarding Siemplify, it became really clear to me that this is best in class in terms of the solution. When you look at orchestration, when you look at automation, Siemplify offers features that your customers really value. Dealing with crisis management, having a centralized platform management. And it really is the easy button. What do I mean by that? What I mean is you really don't even have to expand your line card. There are no additional contracts. There's no separate CERT program. Literally you're dealing with Checkpoint SKUs. It's really that easy to be able to attach to a new order, to an existing account, really to anything. So, I guess what I've learned in my career is really a term called competitive immunity. And when I say that, what I really mean is how do you build the wall against your competitors? How do you walk away from an account after a meeting and hope and maybe even ensure that the next individual on the next Zoom or on the next physical meeting is really not a competitor? And that's called competitive immunity. And when you're dealing with SOAR, when you're dealing with Siemplify, you are shutting that door. You are sealing off that entry point. And it's really a great reason. It's one of the reasons why we're in the partnership. It's one of the reasons why you should consider being in the partnership. And it's not only about competitive immunity, but it's about maximizing customer value and maximizing your profitability or your margin envelope. There is tremendous opportunity with cross-sell, with upsell, with opening new accounts. And it's not a one-time event. It really produces an annuity revenue stream. And we're not going into this naively. This is something that we're just saying, hey, we're going to announce it today. It's really, we are starting to see progress in the market. We are starting to see joint wins in multiple geographies. The great thing about these wins are they're ubiquitous, meaning that it's not one vertical, it's not one geography, it's not one customer type. So you have the ability right now to be able to gain an early adopter advantage. This is an early market to an extent, and you have an opportunity to be able to get there first. And we would ask you, when you do, when you win, to be able to celebrate loudly and to be able to celebrate often. And please ask for help. So, it would be great if you're able to carry the ball from goal line to goal line or whatever your sports analogy is. But realistically, we have resources. Siemplify has resources. We're absolutely here to help you. And what we would ask you to do is to be able to put together a plan that is not only inside your install base, but outside of your install base, targeting new customers. Final ask before I turn it over to Tom, is really to be able to do it quickly, to be able to accelerate. One of my favorite quotes comes from a Chinese proverb, maybe a little bit unusual to use on St. Patrick's Day, but the quote goes like this: there is no such thing as an endless banquet. So right now the food's on the table. Let's make sure we're the one eating the food. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Tom Gilman. Enjoy the rest of the seminar. Tom?
Yeah, it helps if I turn off the mute button. Let me just share my screen here and we'll get going here.
Good. It's always a good idea. Happy
Good.
St. Pat's. I love your background, man.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Hopefully I got this right. Okay. Let's dive right in. First of all, thank you. Welcome to joining us. Appreciate you taking the time out of your holiday today. Thank you to Frank and the rest of the Checkpoint team for helping to put this together. And again, thanks to all of our partners for joining us today. Special shout out to the Access IT folks, because I know you've got 2 events today, and so kudos to you for making both of them. So let me just tell you real quick from my piece of this, what I'm planning on doing in the next 10 or 15 minutes is to give you a quick overview of SOAR and Siemplify. And I'll also talk about the relationship we have with Checkpoint and how to navigate that with a little bit more detail than what Frank had just discussed. Then I'm going to turn it over to the smarter guy in the room, and that's John Goldman, Solution Architect for Checkpoint. And he's going to take you through some of the use cases and specific scenarios where you'd want to be selling Siemplify into a Checkpoint install base or Checkpoint prospect. So with that, let's dive right in. Can't do a presentation without a commercial slide. So the commercial slide on Siemplify. And what I'm going to do throughout this 10 or 15 minutes is really try and point out where we differ from our competition. And so right off the bat on this first slide, the biggest differentiator is how we were founded, how we were formed. Siemplify was formed by SOC engineers, guys who really understood the challenges facing the SOC. Everything that Siemplify does as a company, everything that the platform does, is to make the SOC more efficient, more effective, reduce mean time to resolution and operational risk. This differs from our competitors, and I'll explain why in a few slides, but their sole purpose is anything but SOAR, and their sole purpose is anything but making SOCs more efficient. We were recently rated #1 by Gartner's Peer Insight for SOAR platform, and we've been selected by some of the largest companies out there across a smattering of different verticals. And so these are Obviously, there's a lot more successes than what I have up here, but these are some of our publicly referenceable accounts. And so they're for your perusal. To get us all on the same page, and look, I get this, guys, many of you could present this slide better than I could, but just to get us all on the same playing field, let's talk about some of the challenges that are facing SOCs today and why Siemplify and SOAR platforms even came about. So the first challenge is there's no central platform to manage security operations. Think of it like Salesforce for a sales rep, Workday for HR. If you've ever been inside of a SOC, it's very typical to see analysts constantly swiveling between multiple products. They have 2-3 screens in front of them, 20 tabs open across them. Each tab has login credentials and a management console for the 20+ tools in their security stack. And when I talk about their security stack, I'm talking about endpoint, firewall, intrusion, tip, sandboxing, all the tools that you guys sell to help your customers keep their network safe. And so along with all of those tools is that tool explosion. Tools that you've sold them, tools that I've sold them in past lives, and they aren't even able to take advantage of half the features in those tools because those tools don't talk to one another. The next thing is you've got alert overload. We've got customers that get 10,000 alerts a week. We've got a customer that gets 10,000 alerts a day. Each one of those alerts has to be investigated. It has to be checked, closed out, and saved for documentation purposes. Next, you've got manual inconsistent processes. Processes that use shortcuts, analyst-specific know-how, and processes that tend to walk out the door because of the next challenge, and that is there is a huge shortage of security analysts, estimated to be about a 2 million analyst shortage, which means when you have that much of a shortage, analysts tend to move around a lot. They can take a lateral move, go up the street, do the exact same job for another company and get a 10% bump in pay. And so out the door goes those processes and that know-how. Finally, you've got this inability to rise above the daily firefighting, to track the key performance indicators of the SOC. If you ask your typical SOC director, how is your SOC performing? Often they can't even tell because they don't have time to be checking their SLAs and such. So into SOAR. Gartner defines SOAR as security orchestration, automation, and response. What's that really mean? It means setting up an automated process for a specific type of alert, whether it be phishing, a rogue device on the network, a time traveler, whatever the type of alert that you're receiving, you've got this automated process which coordinates, or as we like to say, orchestrates all the security tools in that stack that I mentioned earlier. All those tools to effectively deal with that threat. And SOAR is going to assure a strict adherence to a process, and it's going to do it at machine speed, thus making the SOC more efficient. Here's an example. Let's say your process for handling unknown emails or phishing is as follows. Maybe you use VirusTotal to check the URL and sender of the email, and you might even check the SHA-256 hash of the file that's attached. Then maybe you detonate it using, I don't know, Sandblast. If it's malicious, you go to your checkpoint firewall and you block that address. And then finally, you go to Active Directory and you look up the user and his manager and you send an email reminding them to never open suspicious emails and to delete that one. And of course, you save all that data, the results of the hash, the results of the detonation, everything, so that you can show at a future point in time that, yes, you did check and it was in fact benign. Those steps done by your average analyst could take up to 20 minutes. Now imagine you're getting, I don't know, 30 of those an hour. It's insurmountable. So what SOAR does with little or no intervention and at machine speed, it's going to do all of that process for you and save it for documentation purposes. And if something was found, it would have stopped and brought in an analyst. So what does Siemplify do specifically? Well, we're actually much more than SOAR. What we do is we manage security operations from end to end, from a single platform, no copying and pasting between tools, no swiveling between screens or logging in with separate credentials. No taking that IP address that you discovered from VirusTotal that was malicious and copying it to the firewall to block. Instead, that handover is all part of the automation and it happens automatically. So we work with over 250 products just about every mainstream security player out there, including Check Point's product portfolio. Just about everything in Check Point's portfolio we integrate with. You're going to be hard pressed to find a security product we don't integrate with, but if you do, it's generally pretty easy to develop an integration in short order. But what Siemplify is going to do is assure this consistent automated process to respond to threats with no shortcuts. No analyst saying, you know what, I've seen that URL before, I don't need to check it. No variations from one analyst to another doing it, quote, my way. And so this is going to reduce the threat overload. It's going to allow the analyst to skip that mundane, easy, everyday threat and focus on the larger esoteric ones that really require in-depth investigation. And that's what they want to be doing anyway. They don't want to be doing benign lookups on phishing emails. Finally, it allows you to track the performance of the SOC and see how you're measuring it against your SLAs. Siemplify's platform is agnostic and independent. Like I said, over 250 integrations. We make those integrations, those other products that we coordinate, we make them more efficient, we make them more effective, thus returning an ROI, but we never compete with those, but rather we enhance every mainstream security product out there that we integrate with. Most of our competitors are now owned by companies whose focus is anything but SOAR. So Phantom Cyber, one of the early SOAR players, they got picked up by Splunk about 3 years ago. What does Splunk do? Splunk is a SIM shop. That's what they do. They make a great SIM, but that's what they are. They're a SIM shop. Demisto, where I came from before I came to Siemplify, they got picked up 2 years ago, I think 2 years ago today, actually, by Palo Alto Networks. What is Palo? It's a company that is 90% of their revenue comes from firewall, 5% from this Prisma stuff, and another 5% from their Cortex stuff. Demisto was about 30 million last time I checked. Out of 4 billion that Palo is doing, that's less than 1%. How much do you think they're really focusing on SOAR with less than 1% of their revenue? Cybersponse, another early player, they were picked up by Fortinet, again, another firewall player. And then you've got some of the dabblers, the companies that have some capability to do automation, but that's not their core tenet. Companies like ServiceNow makes a great ticketing system, throws in some automation capabilities, but anything but a SOAR platform. What we do is SOAR, and that's all we do. 100% of our R&D, 100% of our selling, our marketing, our support is SOAR. But SOAR is much more than security automation and orchestration. As a complete platform, we start out by providing complete case management that's going to document, track, index every aspect of the case from the moment it kicks off from an alert. The next step is obviously that orchestration and automation that I talked about, which consists of building playbooks that model your customers' processes for orchestrating the various tools that they're using. We know that there's always going to be a need for an intelligent security analyst, which is why we have an investigation experience that makes it really easy for analysts to consistently make good decisions and fast decisions and collaborate with one another. Those collaboration capabilities are built right into the platform. We've integrated threat intelligence right into the platform, as well as a full-featured crisis management module, and we're the only ones that have that. We are built from the ground up to be multi-tenant, which is crucial. Whether you're selling to an MSSP that's segregating clients or simply a large enterprise that's segregating different work groups. And then finally, we've got advanced reporting. We've got a little piece of Tableau built right into our platform. And if you've ever worked with Tableau, you know you can analyze data every which way to Sunday using that tool. And so you can really get some really advanced reporting and business intelligence. How do we differ from the other guys? Well, I already said we're vendor agnostic. We could care less what firewall, SIM, ticketing system you're using. There's no hidden agenda. Now, I will tell you, we've got this incredible co-sell partnership with Check Point. So if you're not sold on any of those technologies, guess what? Then we do care. We'd much rather you be using Check Point. But we work with any and all of them. We've designed a security operations platform that goes well beyond SOAR and playbooks. Everything in the platform, from case management to crisis management, was designed to make sure that security operations teams are working effectively and efficiently. We're really powerful yet simple to use with a no-code promise, meaning you don't have to be a Python coder to use our tool. And some of our competitors, you do have to be a Python coder. A big differentiator, we don't chase every alert, but rather we chase cases. What do I mean by that? What I mean is we don't get a phishing alert, then a command and control traffic alert, then an IPS alert, all downloaded, all from a downloaded piece of malware. Instead, what we get is a case that has all three of those alerts or all three of those breaches associated and the artifacts presented all at once, giving a much clearer picture of exactly what happened. In this case, in this example, a phishing email came in, the user downloaded the attachment, it started generating some C2 traffic with its home server, and then it found some PII and started sending some data back to that home C2 server. All of those alerts, if they were presented separately, possibly to different analysts, it might have taken much longer to get the big picture of exactly what that breach was and how to remediate. We integrate best of breed threat intelligence right into the platform. We're the only SOAR vendor, like I said, with a crisis management module. And from a delivery perspective, we can be delivered on-prem or as a service. It makes no difference to us. We're the only SOAR player with full playbook lifecycle management, which means you can not only test a playbook prior to using it, but you can get crucial stats on your playbooks after they're in use to see if they're really doing what you had designed them to do. So you put it all together, you got alerts coming in from a whole bunch of different sources. Siemplify is going to find those commonalities of those alerts and group them into a single case and then execute playbooks that are associated with that threat. The playbook's automatic, but it's going to stop when it needs any type of further investigation by the right analyst. The analyst has all the data, all the artifacts, the timeline, et cetera, right in front of him. He can then collaborate with other analysts to determine the correct response. And then finally, all of this is fed back into his analytics tool to avoid it on the next round. And it's all documented and tracked so that you've got a complete case management. Like I said, over 250 integrations. Here's a smattering of some of those. You're going to be hard pressed to find somebody we don't integrate with. And Gartner here clearly points out that our independence and vendor neutrality kind of gives us a leg up on the other SOAR players. I'm going to do one quick case study here. You saw FedEx on that first slide. The juice was worth the squeeze. I love that. What did we do for FedEx? Well, first of all, we saved them an average of 30 minutes per alert. Remember I said we group cases together into, or group alerts into a single case? Well, for them, there was an average of almost 2.5 alerts per case, meaning they had to deal with a lot less, in fact, less than half of their total alerts that were grouped into single cases. So they were chasing a lot more, a lot less concerns. They used 43 of our out-of-the-box integrations. Remember I said your typical enterprise is going to be 20 plus. Well, FedEx is not your typical enterprise. They had 43 different products that they needed integrations for. They took full advantage of our dashboards, but more importantly, they automated 57% of their security actions. And then finally, they used our tool not only to collaborate against or amongst internal analysts, but they also used it to collaborate with their MSSP. Real quick, let's talk about this partnership we have with Checkpoint. Why the Checkpoint Siemplify partnership? Well, Checkpoint's two largest competitors, Palo and Fortinet, have already embedded SOAR solutions into their portfolio with those acquisitions that I mentioned earlier. This validated the need for SOAR to be part of a solution if it's going to be a complete security solution. And then when the announcement of Checkpoint's Infinity SOC was done, it was clear that Checkpoint needed SOAR to round out that portfolio. Our platform has a strong integration with Checkpoint Sandblast, CloudGuard, Threat Cloud, and of course the firewalls. And John's going to talk about that in a second. Checkpoint has added the Siemplify product line right into its SKU lineup. So if you're doing a joint Checkpoint Siemplify engagement, the flow is the same as it would be for any other Checkpoint transaction. The deal reg, getting quotes from distribution, or if you're direct, quoting everything. Everything's the exact same. You've just got these added SKUs now that are in fact simplifying products on the Checkpoint price list. The partnership is going to be field driven. Success will come from the engagement in the field, and we're already seeing tremendous success. We have over 50 deals that we are working just today in collaboration with the Checkpoint sales team. And since Checkpoint, like us, is 100% through the channel, that means that all of those 50 are engaging somebody, hopefully some of you, in those transactions as well. Checkpoint is not selling any other source solution. Both the cloud and the on-prem versions are included in the agreement. Uh, the process works like this. When you come across an opportunity, you qualify it and you engage it, and you engage your checkpoint account executive just like you would for any other opportunity. Siemplify is going to support that opportunity and support the checkpoint AE and you by doing the demo, by doing the POC if it's needed. And then once the sale is complete, you've got the capability of selling, again, as a checkpoint SKU, Siemplify service and support. But let me make something clear. We recognize that for some of you, that's your cornerstone. That's where you really shine. We have no desire to or preference that says we have to be the support partner. We're not a body shop, and we don't want to be. So if any of you have that desire to become certified and up to speed on implementation services, by all means, we've got some incredible training that's free to you, and we would much rather our partners be doing their branded support than us. So with that, just because I'm going long and I know we've got a Q&A at the end, I'm going to, instead of asking for questions, turn it over to John Goldman, Solutions Architect, who's going to go through some of those very specific checkpoint components that work so well with Siemplify. So with that, John, I'm going to stop sharing and let you pull up yours.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Tom. All right. So there's obviously the increase in the threat landscape that in the multi-stage attacks, as you've seen in the news recently, that is sort of on the uptick. And if we're more specific, we're specifically talking about the top 10 high-level attack vectors related to SolarWinds per CISA.gov's findings. And specifically, we'll be looking at some of these aspects of this and how we can automate and orchestrate the enforcement aspect of the for this attack. But before I go further, I just wanted to highlight quickly the uniqueness of Siemplify. What is SOAR? You can have lots of scripts, and anyone can pull a bunch of scripts and put it all together, and you can just call that a SOAR. But the uniqueness comes in the like Tom mentioned briefly, it's the fact that it's alert centric. It's the fact that you can the platform automatically stitches some of the related alerts together into one case, which makes it easy for the analyst to identify and also have that investigation process much more streamlined. So on top of that, I just want to quickly highlight the Infinity Vision and then the XDR that you could plug in on top of the SOAR, as well as some of the additional product portfolios that I mentioned in my slide here, the Quantum, the CloudGuard, and then the Harmony portfolio. And all of that ties into from the threat intelligence perspective, getting the threat intelligence from Checkpoint Threat Cloud with real-time threat prevention. So going back to the CISA and going back to the specific SolarWinds attack, I just wanted to make sure that I cover this good old cyber kill chain, where we're kind of covering the pre-compromise stage, the compromise stage, as well as the post-compromise stage with the enforcement points, with some of the checkpoint threat prevention technologies. And as you can see, the IPS signature was available. Let me just go ahead and pull up the Checkpoint Smart Dashboard, and I'm going to go ahead and quickly go through this. And so this is the IPS protections page. And I'm going to go ahead and search for Sunburst. As you can see, the Sunburst came out on December 13th, and we had the signature, the IPS signature for the Sunburst backdoor suspicious traffic element on December 14th. So within 24 hours, so this the signature was available to Checkpoint customers to be able to protect their environments from further attacks in the payloads. And this kind of speaks the sense of urgency of our Checkpoint research, and the fact that you can also turn that on and also automate that using the not only the Checkpoint Infinity Threat Prevention R81, but also with the Siemplify SOAR. And as a specific step-by-step playbook, this is sort of the visual perspective of what I was just talking about. We have the inbound traffic coming in, the IPS engine gets triggered and issues a block. And if the DLL was, in this case, the SolarWinds DLL was signed by the trusted authority, and in this case, it kind of goes through and gets detonated by Checkpoint Sandblast sandboxing engine. And then also the binary, the hashes get sent to the Checkpoint threat cloud. And once we identify that it's a malicious, then we automatically block it with on the Checkpoint firewall, on the gateway, with the antivirus as well as the anti-bot blades. So in terms of the overall, the platform, we can prevent threats at the endpoint, the network, cloud, mobile IoT applications, and the Infinity SOC platform, where we could investigate, and monitor, and hunt and respond using different methods. And obviously, we can, using the API hooks, we can integrate with Siemplify and create different playbooks so that it's all streamlined and automated for the security analyst. So with that, I know we don't have much time. I'm going to go ahead and pass this to Wayne. If you have any questions related to specific integrations, related to if you need to do any kind of demo or any kind of POC, please let us know. This is how it looks like. For example, the playbook that I was talking about, these are the step-by-steps. It goes through each step, and this is all customizable. And as you can see, there's a lot of details to that. This is the IP that was blocked, the malicious hash. We also ran it through the virus total as an additional threat intelligence perspective. And then obviously it gets sent to the Sandblast through API, and then the Checkpoint threat reputation. So since we don't have much time, I'm going to go ahead and pass this to Wayne. Wayne?
Yeah, definitely. You've got my slide there, John. Just want to advance it to my single slide. That's perfect. There we go. So I think the title of this is, why partner with us, right? I mean, truly you came on here because you heard the words better together. It is exactly how Frank said it. We're here together. We're not skipping through the grass together, the green grass, since it's St. Patrick's Day. But, definitely we are working together. Tom mentioned as well, we have a co-sale relationship. We have full integration with the Checkpoint product line. That should make you exceptionally happy. It was mentioned that all of the SKUs are readily available via Checkpoint. You don't need to come to us. You go straight to Checkpoint to get those SKUs. Checkpoint is very familiar. As you watch John go through his presentation, John knows our product just as well as we know our product, right? He's educated. All of the engineers at Checkpoint have been fully educated. They've gone through workshops. They've taken all of our testing and tested out of that through our workshops. They know our competition. You heard Frank mention our competition. You heard him talk about, the reason why to do this. Tom gave a splendid example of our competition out there, talking about all of those SOAR products and platforms that have been acquired over the last year, 2 years, right? They're all out there. They're all competing with you. They want some of this space. And so you have to actually protect your own castle. We are the only SOAR partner with Checkpoint, right? There's nothing else they can sell on their paper. All those SKUs are readily available. As far as field supported, we have all those resources. again, Frank mentioned it, John mentioned it, Tom mentioned it. We have the resources ready, available to you. We are fully committed to your success. The reason why I'm here talking to you is because I've been involved in a couple of the success stories. So fortunately or unfortunately, I speak fluent Spanish, so I've been doing some things in South America, and we had a couple deals pop up in South America. $500,000 worth of deals that came directly through Checkpoint and their partner. So they found some opportunities, they brought them to us, and I'd love to say they were less than 45 days to close, but they were just over 45 days to close. And this was the largest educational facility. It's a quasi-government entity in Colombia called SENA, and the other one was with Telefonica. And these actually closed within, like I said, 60 days. They were brought to us via the partner and Checkpoint. We really didn't have anything to do other than technically support them and make sure that the POC functioned properly, that everything actually worked. And in fact, in these two opportunities, we did a very light POC. I would not say we did a full-blown POC. This was something simple, and this was done based on the relationship that the Checkpoint partner had and Checkpoint had with the end user. And just a slam dunk, a beautiful opportunity. And these came through. These were easy to install and implement. They were actually cloud, both the integrations. So it's a very simple sales process, right? This is, again, Checkpoint driven and led through the partner community, Checkpoint qualified and registered through the partner community, and then Checkpoint supported, right? And Siemplify does really driving the demos, the POC discussions, and kind of that light lifting to get you to where you need to be to get that deal closed. So with that, I kind of sped through this really quick, but if you have any questions, you can certainly reach out to us here at Siemplify or at Checkpoint. And I'm going to turn the ball over to, I can't remember who's picking up here. Is it Ted? We're going back to
Tony.
Tony, yep.
Tony. All right, Tony, take it away.
Excellent. So as Frank, started off this seminar with, what's in it for you as a partner? As Wayne and Tom and John have gone through our extensive partnership and a little overview of the product and how it integrates with Checkpoint. And it's more than just a SKU on Checkpoint's price list. It is a fantastic tool that you've seen over the last few minutes. But how can you help monetize not just the margin resale, but how can you work with your customers and jointly with Checkpoint and Siemplify for you to deliver services to your customer based on our partnership? And if we look at sort of three different categories, all of which require sort of different internal investments on your end as far as building services, but delivering these to your customers. So if we look at sort of standard professional services, we have the obvious, installation and, initial configuration professional services, which is important, but not overly exciting. But really what Siemplify platform will allow you to do with Checkpoint and also other, security vendors that, Tom brought up. Checkpoint does a lot of things, but we don't do everything. Is really consulting on an ongoing basis with your customers on creating playbooks and creating those steps and helping build that automated response tools that Siemplify gives you the platform to build. You can also do things like tabletop exercises with your customers of, hey, let's practice, let's go through an alert and let's see if the proper steps are being taken. These are all repeatable, ongoing. They can be sold as, ongoing services and reoccurring services with your partners, and not just the point in time of, hey, you bought a product from us, let's charge you to install it. Let's do a quarterly, a monthly, bi-yearly, whatever you want to do, exercises with your partners to review, create custom playbooks, do custom integration with other security products and Checkpoint, integrate into your larger SIM offerings, and obviously all of you are mostly in that market too. So being able to do that third-party configuration also is sort of the professional services beyond the initial installation and configuration aspect. The sort of next step in this is building your own, sort of managed detection and response service using Siemplify and Checkpoint as the main tools to help build that. lots of large organizations have their own SOC and, can afford these tools and can afford the expertise to help build them. But if you really look at that mid-market, they're lacking the expertise. The initial heavy lifting is too expensive for them to deploy some of these tools, and they don't even have the SOC talent to be able to use these tools. Not that these tools are overly expensive, but by I mean expensive, they don't have the people, they don't have the expertise to do it. So you can actually build a managed service around SOAR and include it in parts of a managed SOC type offering, a MDR, XDR type service, which I'll talk about next. And using Siemplify as your platform, using Checkpoint's Infinity SOC to be able to provide SOC services to your customers, especially in that mid-market. And then Checkpoint is not only a partner of Siemplify, but we are also a customer. So it sounds like a bad hair care infomercial. So we're not only a client, we're a customer, but we use Siemplify ourselves at Checkpoint. So not only are we just an end user of Siemplify in our own security operations, we have built a small MDR service that goes hand in hand with our incident and response team. And because we are a 100% channel company, we give you guys the ability that if you don't want to build your own incident response and XDR, MDR type services, we can actually work with you, and you can integrate with our service and do it in sort of 3 different levels. Is more just sort of direct sell our XDR and incident response services. You can do a co-branded where you're doing a lot of the upfront work, and then we're helping you on the back end, and it's more of a co-branded partnership. Or we can do a true white label where it's you as the partner service. You guys are doing 90% of the work, and we're in the background helping you provide the tools and helping you build your service offering that you deliver 100% to your customers. So, and I can get you more details on this. Obviously, we're not going to go into the full breadth of this on the call, but beyond the product sale, there are multiple categories of service opportunities to build around this that aren't just traditional professional services. They are ongoing, they are repeatable, and they're very high margin because of the power of Checkpoint and the Siemplify platform to be able to put the work in and be able to use that expertise across multiple customers and be able to deliver these services with much higher margins once you have expertise in these solutions. So it goes well beyond just the technology integration, the partnership, and the reselling of the SKUs, which is all very important. But this is really where the partner provides way more value than Checkpoint or Siemplify as solution software vendors can provide to the customers. So we need you, to help deliver and make this a successful implementation for our joint customers. So I will turn it over. I think Ted
So
Friedman
Tony, thanks very much, and I would like to thank you all for staying with us on this discussion, and for Frank and Tom, John, Wayne, and Tony for helping to talk about the opportunity for you as partners. First of all, overall, this is really a good solution to fill a gap in your security portfolio with Checkpoint SKUs. So we have a very tight alliance with Siemplify, as you can see. But most importantly, let's think about what this means to your profitability as a partner, what this means to your opportunity to add additional revenue streams. And on top of that, what Tony just talked about, pull through higher margin services, right? Whether you may offer services like this today, or whether you may complement what you're selling today with additional services. This is a great way, again, to improve the profitability of your approach to the market. And you can do that in a number of ways. You can use this as an additional upsell to your existing base, to those Checkpoint renewals that are coming up, a great positioning solution to talk about how you tie it together. It can help you when you're in an environment where you have multiple different vendors to tie them together. And it also could be that kind of spearhead into new accounts where you identify customers who may need to pull it together, where they have a disparate number of different types of products. As Tom mentioned earlier, superior platform to the competition. We really match up well with Siemplify against the competitors. And it also becomes a way for you to defend against your competitors' entry points into your accounts. So a lot of really strong, pluses here in terms of this overall solution. And again, it's one thing that probably will help you, offer a more complete solution to your customers. So I wanted to leave some time for Q&A. I'll hand it back over to Tom, and maybe we can field some questions if you have any. Thanks.
Thanks, Ted. And just real quick, guys, I think the mics aren't open, but you can type a question in the Q&A. And so we'll give a couple minutes for that to come in if you have any questions. In the meantime, let me just one more time thank you all for your time, your attention. Again, on St. Patrick's Day, I'm sure down the road you've got other plans, and hopefully there'll be some fun ones. Frank definitely does. And again, special thanks to Frank for doing the executive welcome, as well as Wayne, our two presidents, and appreciate their input and what they had to say. Real quick, check in to see if anything has come in Q&A. I know on these things, it's tough to do a question that may be specific to your specific environment, but I do see one here. Hold on. Is the Siemplify platform multi-tenant? Absolutely. And in fact, I'll be honest with you, about half of our sales are to MSSPs because our multi-tenancy is so strong. A couple of our competitors claim multi-tenancy, and it's kind of bolted on. It's not true tenant segregation. So we have very strong multi-tenancy. So good question. Thank you. Don't see anything else. So again, as I was saying, I know lots of times questions are specific to your opportunities that you're chasing. So feel free to reach out to your Checkpoint CAM, to your Checkpoint AE, to myself, to heck, reach out to Frank, especially this afternoon. You can probably find him drinking a Guinness or something, but reach out, and we are happy to answer any questions and help you, because your success is our success. So with that, if nobody else from my team or the Checkpoint team has anything to add, we're going to call it quits and wish everybody a very happy and safe St. Patrick's Day.